Next part of this is maintaining constant power or follow-through power. So you got your initial power here, and say the target's in front of you right here. So what you want to do is you want to flick your wrist and maintain the tip speed as you're passing through the mat, because the sword slows down as it's cutting through the mat. So in order to combat the tip speed slowing down, you flick your wrist and try to maintain the speed and cut through the mat pretty quickly. Okay? Something like that. Now, one movement though that encompasses both initial power and follow-through power is how you move your elbows. Notice that when I took my stance, my elbow is bent, as you can see, right? But as I'm cutting from the very beginning, as I'm moving my hips, engaging my core, I'm extending my elbow. Okay? So what this does is it gets my sword moving, and then as I'm about to contact the target and cut through it, I flick my wrist, and I'm still pushing and extending through with my elbow. Just like that. Okay? And in the end, what should happen is your arm should be directly in line behind the blade, as you can see there. Alright? So, that's pretty important, alright? Most people don't really understand this, but maintaining constant power throughout your entire strike is very, very important. That's why a lot of people who do power cutting and things like that, that's why it seems like their swords don't really slow down no matter how many mats they cut. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. You can see that even though their swords kind of start to slow down, but it's not like a drastic slowing down. It's not like they come through really quick and then they come through like that fast when they pass through. Okay, it should remain fairly constant. And the reason behind that is you're applying power directly behind the blade. Okay, so think of it as if, as you're cutting, there's a third hand behind the blade and it's pushing your blade through the target. Okay, so it's constant power throughout the cut. And that's why you engage your arm directly in line with the blade. So that way you channel and focus all of your power that you generated directly behind the blade. Okay? That's the most efficient way in cutting and mat cutting, and you can apply it to bottle cutting if you want, but I mean, you don't really need to. So when you're cutting, remember, you have initial power, engage your core, your hips, your legs, your lower body, and then start extending your elbows, flick your wrist, and pass through the target. Okay? Notice my elbows are extended. One thing you have to note though, don't start with your elbows extended already, because what you're doing is you're stretching out your deltoid back here on the back of your scapula, right? Or your shoulder blade right here. This is the area that you're stretching out. So if you start out with your arms extended already, the force from the impact is going directly through the blade, through your arm, because your arm's straight, and it's going into your shoulder. Now, that'll cause problems with your shoulder over a long period of time, and what also happens is you lack power. So when you're trying to cut, no matter if you try to flick your wrist, all that power is, you're losing a lot of power through the cut. So it'll feel like you're hitting like a brick wall, and it'll be really hard for you to cut. No matter what, if you engage your hips, you can turn your hips like a lot. you can really flick your wrist, but if you have your arm straight, I mean, it doesn't matter because more of that power is channeled directly into your shoulder socket. So it takes a lot of strain, and there's not much for your body to do except take that strain, and it can't generate a lot of backup power. That's why you have your elbows bent and you extend through the cut, okay? So that way the force that's transmitted into the blade from the cut goes into your arm, and because your arm's at an angle, right, it dissipates here, so it loses the shock, and then less shock is transferred into your shoulder. And because you're pushing your elbow out, you are also fighting that impact, okay? And you're adding power directly behind the blade as you cut. So remember, the power that you generate, you want it to be directly behind the sword. And think of it as if there's a third hand behind the blade adding extra power behind your cut, okay? So that's a little note on maintaining power throughout your cut and how to generate initial power through your cut. Because you guys have already trained the other two aspects, you've already trained technique and edge alignment, you guys should already be fine there. The bottle curriculum, I mean the videos that you guys put up, that only proves my point, that you guys are already very good cutters. It's just that you have to get used to training power. Okay, so that's it. Now I'm going to be showing you guys a few little short video segments of cutting bottles and showing the different styles on, between cutting bottles and cutting mats. So yeah, so let's go watch the videos real quick.